For my brothers, never had an ear to hear them. These the bricks for our sisters, help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, black, black.
712 Vodka, distilled only once from Blue Ridge Mountain water. Alkaline and gluten-free, 712 Vodka is perfect for sipping or mixing. When you want to enjoy the finer things in life, serve up 712 Vodka and reflect with us on the happenings that have made you who you are.
I have some amazing gentlemen with me today. Of course, my co-host right here to my right. P, introduce yourself.
Pierre Bless, Albemarle, North Carolina, rapper, entrepreneur, spread love life. Let's get it.
All right, to my left, Drew, introduce yourself.
Drew Church, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, founder of Solid Marketing Group, entrepreneur.
Johnny Jones II from Charlotte, North Carolina, just all around connector, healthcare, all of that.
Nice. All right, gentlemen, today, the conversation that we're having today is speech free? The costs of speaking your mind. And I think we all can relate to this topic at hand right here because it's been a busy fourth quarter of 2022 as we now into 2023. But we have situations that arose similar to like Kyrie, Kanye West, of course, Dave Chappelle, and the list goes on. But I think it's a conversation that needs to be had due to the fact of you live in the land of what we call the free, but it's speech free. All right. So first off, I want to give a toast to you gentlemen for joining me today. We're enjoying 712 Vodka. All right.
Salute.
712 Vodka is a North Carolina-based vodka company. And it is an amazing brand. I know the owners. And 712 is all about, finding what inspires you. And then we here at Black Fly on the Wall. That's our game plan, is to always find and tap into what inspires us, the inspiration of self, the creativity of self. What I like about 712 most with myself is, the high pH water that they use. The fact that they're using the Blue Ridge Mountain water is essential. And I think as you're looking to try something that's alkaline, gluten-free, and has an amazing product and is only distilled once, I think it's critical to make sure, if you're partaking in a spirit, making sure it's best for your body. So shout out to 712.
Cheers to y'all, man.
Cheers.
Thank y'all.
Cheers.
I appreciate the invite.
Sure.
Me and Johnny.
Sure, for sure.
That's my birthday too, 7/12.
Oh,
wow.
It's divine.
Wow.
Cancer season.
Yep.
About to say, please don't start talking about zodiacs up here.
So fellas, what role does accountability and responsibility play in the words that we choose, the statements that we make, the conversations that we have? Johnny, I wanted to ask you what your perspective was on that. Is, when we talk about free speech, we talk about being able to speak our minds freely and express ourselves. But we all know, especially as black men, that there's limitations to that. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the two most dynamic words are responsibility and accountability when it comes down to the things that you say?
I mean, those two are basically the crux of everything that you put out. I believe that the responsibility is that you understand that we do have a freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that our speech or our actions aren't free of consequence. Things that we see, like the Kyrie and Kanye, you can say what you want to say, but if there are Big Brother or these big corporations who have differing views, well, then there are going to be some consequences, as we see. So I think that the words that we put out, you have to think about it because they can cause mass destruction, and also on the other side, they could cause mass construction. For
sure.
So it's just we have to be mindful of everything that we put out, especially as black men.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. I was just watching how things unfolded, especially we can reference, let's say, for instance, with Kyrie is that, just simply just sharing a tweet and the power behind, what we do as men. And it also showed us too, like, that the world is always watching the things that you do. So, he didn't promote it. He didn't get any money off of it. He didn't say, go watch it. He just simply retweeted something, and it sparked this mass controversy. So I think it's all about being responsible and accountable for the conversations that you have, but also the actions that you do too. Because I think that segues us into talking about the dynamic between us as law-abiding citizens and then celebrities. Do you feel like they have do you feel like, especially with you and you as you progress through your rap career, do you feel like you have a greater responsibility for the things that you do based on the attention that you receive consistently?
Yes. Just like, teachers, principals, doctors, everybody takes on a role, in different walks of life. So especially if you know what role you're in, you know that people are watching you. So if you hold that, if you're a stakeholder of being, a big influencer or a high value person, then people are going to listen to what you say. They're going to, that's what happened with Kanye. That's what happened with Kyrie. Everybody listens. And guess what happened on the other side of that? Those videos and stuff that they referenced, they went through the roof. Yeah. So everybody watched that. So your influence,
went crazy. They went crazy.
You have a responsibility, of what you put out to the people, and you got to be, what comes out with that, you're going to be held accountable for. So accountability plays a major part in that too. So you do.
And too, like I like the response like what Amazon had. It was like, like this is a platform where people can upload and express themselves through their content. Like it's not our job to police it. Like for every piece of content that you don't like, there's another piece of content that another person likes. So I think like with that, we was able to see polarity with the situation with Kyrie, whereas the NBA and Kyrie and the anti-Semitic defamation places were really going at Kyrie, but also you had Amazon was a multi-billion-dollar company and a sponsor of the NBA, and NFL is saying like, we provide freedom of speech on our platforms, and people can upload the content that they want. And I think that's key, man. And Drew, I was going to ask you, like, what are your thoughts on the accountability that men, and we can even take a step back from the stardom and the celebrities, but what's the accountability that us as men have in the things that we say and the actions that we do?
I think the accountability is very high, especially for Black men. I think we are at a higher standard. I think, for instance, Skip Bayless, what he said. Skip was crazy. He had no consequences from Fox. Right. But I'm pretty sure if Shannon said the same thing or something similar, I think it would be a lot more, criticism from the higher ups, or even a suspension. You know what I mean? So, as Black men, we always got to think before we speak. Just we know the playing field is not in our favor, especially in corporate. So even from Kyrie and Kanye's standpoint, ownership. You know what I mean? Kanye working at with Balenciaga, Adidas. If he owned Yeezy straight out with Sway was saying. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some of those things.
Sway had the answers.
Sway had the answers.
Sway had the
answers.
So it's you got to be accountable. Yeah. And you just got to always think about what you say.
Now you said something critical because it opened up another door to talking about the balance of responsibility within the corporate workplace. So like even as we look at people like Stephen A., Shannon, Ryan Clark, even though we look at those men as like, okay, they're operating in their own lane, they really aren't, because they're still working within the ESPN, Fox Sports, which Disney owns ESPN. Yeah. You still have this ladder and this way of that you have to really go about conducting yourself as men. And like we was able to see like Shannon Sharp's reaction after Skip tweeted out, after the whole DeMar Hamlin situation happened. Luckily for him, thank God for him being healthy and getting back to Buffalo and being able to start making steps in the right direction. But that was a moment where a man was dealing with his life, right? And you had another individual like Skip Bayless tweet out something like, "Oh, they can't cancel the game. The game. It's the game. The game. The teams have any." Right. And you just really take a step back and be like, "Man, really?" You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like if we do something like that, it's like DEFCON 5. Yeah. Whereas with Skip Bayless do something like that, and even Skip, if you really notice, whenever Shannon finally came onto the show, because he didn't come onto the show the next day because of what things said or what Skip said, and then he comes on 2 days later and he makes a statement like, "I hope Skip apologizes, yada yada yada," and then Skip cut him off, and even Skip was like, they didn't have a problem with my tweet.
Yeah, he doubled down.
Yeah, he doubled down. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that shows you how like the falsehoods of how we're operating on two different planes. But I think, and Pia, what I was going to ask you was that, like, tell me, like, have you ever experienced that as a child where your mother was like, or your father was like, providing you with a different standard of how you should conduct yourself as a young man, and not being able to look at what your counterparts, your white counterparts, or kids or from other ethnicities, of what you can't copy them? You know what I'm saying?
Y'all know.
You already know. Everything.
Y'all
All men. I
know.
think all men got that conversation.
We grew up, I'm gonna just throw the whole gang in here. We all grew up that way. Like, well, my friend did it. Then your mom finds out, oh, Johnny, he's white. Not this Johnny. But like, oh, Johnny, he's white. You know what I'm saying? You can't do what he can do. You can't move how he can move. Oh, he's talking, blah, blah to cops or talking to his parents this way. That's why our households are different, because we come out of slavery into, like a silence type, slavery where it's still mental. And we got to speak to everybody different. We can get in trouble at school. We can get arrested easier. Our punishment is longer. You know what I'm saying? We're targeted still. It's just a respected type target. We still got a target on us, but it's like, hey, don't say too much. Or, we're in a place where we're still in cancel culture. Like, a lot of people can get canceled. Like, still, they'll just take it off.
Billionaires can get canceled.
One thing for sure that people really aren't paying attention to, and I like both guys. Like, I'm a Kyrie fan, but look how Nike took Kyrie out and just put Ja Morant right in. You know what I'm saying?
Just pawns, but they just it's pawns.
Yo, it was real quick. It was easy. Yeah. Like, Ja nasty. All respect, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, we have to have ownership. Like, that's the good thing. Yes, Shannon is on Undisputed, but he also has Club Shay Shay. He got to fall back, and he has enough followers. I'm like, somebody will pick him up.
Or he can do that full time.
He can make that show crash if he wanted to, and he know it. That's why, look at the power when he left. I saw all on Twitter and everywhere. I ain't even watching today. What's the show without Shannon? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he can go team up with Stephen A, or he just go straight Club Shay Shay and somebody give him a deal. You know?
Yeah, because podcasting is the new network of being able to control the content that you make. You be able to be your own producer, be your own director. And you really get to just make a push. And like, I think we're seeing too within podcasting, like podcasting views and listeners is up there with ESPN.
Sure.
Like, that's why you see guys who are on ESPN or on Disney or on Fox or on CNN also have a podcast on the side because of the power of being able to control your own voice. And I think that's the key for us as creators, but also as consumers, is to be mindful of the power that we do have. Like, Johnny, I know you do like a lot of stuff in the community in Charlotte. Like, what role has being able to be independent and your creativity played in your overall development as yourself as a man?
I think it plays everything to do with it. Drew and I, these are things that I've struggled with for quite some time. It's just really jumping off the porch because I've been trained to go towards a certain way, but I still have that creative side that I'm able to push off. And Drew always tell me, but just do it. But a lot of the things that I'm involved in is due to that creativity, and it's due to me wanting more. And I know that, again, we use this word monolithic. We're not all monolithic. And the way that you spread this light that we all possess is to touch people in different ways. So just trying to use that light to touch as many people and as many mediums as possible. So that's really what it comes down to. So
I like that.
Have you ever used that word before?
No.
Monolithic.
Hey, Johnny, if you know Johnny, he gonna come up with some words, boy.
He like Tip.
He said Tip for sure. He said Crux earlier.
Boy, Tip.
I was like, he crazy with it.
Hey, no.
That was a very
too much dip on the chip, my boy.
Monolithic chip, my boy.
Hey, Drew, I was going to ask you too, man. Like, I see what you're doing with your creative agency, and I was going to ask you, like, what type of gratification do you get as a man to be able to work within your creative space and brew those creative juices on a daily basis?
I think just creating and building a legacy. For me, it was just like, I tried to get in the sports agency world, and they kept on blocking me. So I just said, hey, I'm going to build my own door, build my own table, in a sense where I just knew you know, it takes a while for things that, you know, go your way or just build something, you know, like an agency. So, you know, I feel like embracing the process. You know, I think 3 things I always stick with within the process: and embrace it, trust it, and don't cheat it.
There you
so
go.
That's the 3 goals, 3 terms, 3 of everything I always use.
I like
that. That's kind of my.
I like that.
My thing.
712 Vodka, distilled only once from Blue Ridge Mountain Water. Alkaline and gluten-free, 712 Vodka is perfect for sipping or mixing. When you want to enjoy the finer things in life, serve up 712 Vodka and reflect with us on the happenings that have made you who you are.
I think too, man. I think too, it's like as we progress through like this creative space, this space of analyzing like our peers and analyzing those who we see as gods or people that we see as overachievers and highly successful individuals, those that we model ourselves after. I think is essential for us to always be able to analyze, like provide like a lens of grace as well. I think sometimes too we hold individuals that we idolize to such a high standard to where whenever things happen within their lives, we look at it as something personally happening to us. And so like I was gonna ask you guys, like P, I can tee this up to you, is like, what is the double standard that we provide to other people? It's not that society is providing it, it's the fact that we're providing a standard to others that we don't necessarily provide to ourselves. So what is something that we can do, and what are some ways that we can analyze the things that we do on a daily basis whenever looking at celebrities, looking at athletes, and looking at individuals through a lens of providing grace, knowing that they are humans just like we are?
You asked that again?
That was a monolithic. That was a monolithic question.
Monolithic. It's like deep, right?
How can we as individuals be able to still be able to look at celebrities, look at individuals that we admire,
I got you,
and provide grace, but also understanding that they're humans just like we are?
Yeah, you just got to understand positioning. You know what I'm saying? Like where people are. Notice that they're human too. What we fall under a spell of is idolizing people, you know, and we shouldn't. You know, everybody's normal. You know what I'm saying? Some people, and you know, I know I spoke on that earlier, like, yeah, you have this position. Some people are thrown into leadership positions and don't even know it. They're not ready for it.
For sure.
You know, so it's like, hey, you have to be yourself. Always be yourself. Always look in the mirror, know who you are. And then you won't be comparing yourself, or you won't hold this person to this certain standard. You know, we really shouldn't hold people to high standards like that. You got to look at somebody's position and be like, hey, I see this person with what they provide me with, but I'm just going to keep it here. You know, like, I'm good where I'm at. That's what they do. Let them do them.
For sure.
We cool.
And too, I think like you got to be careful with holding people to standards that you don't hold yourself. Right. So like if you're holding like say a Stephen A. or somebody to such a high level, you should definitely be holding yourself to that high level as well. Yeah. So I think just setting tiers and providing yourself grace as you provide others grace is also essentially key. I think another thing too is one thing I analyze a lot is like as an African American culture is on the come up, right? We're regaining our traction when it comes down to financial independence, creative independence, and independence in different sectors, to art, sports, music, whatever it may be. I think we have to be careful with how we publicly judge one another too. I think a lot of times it's kind of like crabs in a bucket mentality, right? It's like we see something happen and first thing we want to do is like run to Twitter or run to Instagram or run to ESPN and get on and judge another black man or a black woman, whereas you can just hit that person and be like, hey, you was kind of a little off with that, or hey, what you said affected me in this way, or hey, be mindful of what you do, because the world is watching as we judge one another.
Really, I think it just comes down to your emotional intelligence, and it really requires you have to understand that there's always work to be done. In that grace, everything that you want of others, you should give out as well. So, in understanding, like the emotional intelligence is everything. You got to do the work.
Sure.
You have to know your triggers. Like, again, with accountability and responsibility, like, I know you because I know me. So it's like the things that I do, the things that I trigger or trigger me, the things that have triggered other black men. It's just like, yo, like, if we want more, we just have to do better. So it's like, yo, and then we see our counterparts, like, do you think Jay-Z is gonna ridicule P. Diddy in public?
No.
If these are our idols,
Right.
Like, no, they have behind door conversations.
Right.
And like I've been telling Drew for years, I'll be like, yo, what's the difference between us and Jay? A couple zeros? Well, we need to treat ourselves as such. Again, like, we just need to do that work and just understand, like, yo, I don't want that done to me. Like, let me put that out. So
also on top of that too, I think you see this happen a lot. Like, I ain't gonna even name drop, but we just need to gain understanding on situations before we speak on it. For
sure.
yeah, that
because
too.
we always speak out before we even have all the facts.
For sure.
You know, and that hurts us.
Yeah, and to that point, it's three sides of a story. Your side, and the truth.
Facts. Right.
So it's like, yeah, we definitely need that full encompassing story so we can come with you like, yo, because of XYZ, yo, you need to do this.
Yeah. And kind of on the flip side, I think the main definition that you guys kind of explain is perspective. You know what I mean? Everyone can't have the same perspective on a goal. You know what I mean? So if the goal is to go 100 yards, everybody can't be going straight. The opposition is going to be like, yo, I see everyone going straight. We got to figure out different ways to get to that point. Not saying that yours is wrong, mine is right. We can both work together. You know what I mean? I feel like too many times everyone is trying to, you know, all do it the same way.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not doing it that same way, let's cancel him.
Wallow just said
you know
that.
what I mean? We got to cancel him because, you know, their perspective is little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if Kanye's perspective or if his end goal was everybody else's black culture's goal, but it's different. Can you cancel that, man?
No,
you know what I mean?
His perspective.
It's about
Kanye a little different.
I mean, of course, I'm just using him as a reference, but not, you know what I mean? I'm just,
but he's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Perspective is everything.
Perspective.
It's everything. It's everything because, like Wallow said the other day, he was on Social Proof. So shout out to Social Proof, shout out to Wallow. He was talking about how, you know, now the biggest thing now is go get you some stocks. Go get you some real estate.
Right.
Don't do nothing before you get some real estate. Don't do nothing before you get this. Don't do nothing. And he was like, man, calm the hell down. Calm down, bro. There's different ways of getting generational wealth. You can get generational wealth through intellectual property.
For sure.
You get generational wealth through copywriting your stuff. You get generational wealth through trademarking. Of course, real estate is an intricate piece to any individual's portfolio when it comes down to generational wealth, but it's not the only way. We're not one-trick ponies. It's different ways of going after and achieving the things that we want to achieve. So, like you said, the perspective is all about being able to shift what you're seeing to be able to see it through another person's eyes. I think, Johnny, what you said also is important because, like, I analyze life as like we're all extensions of the Creator. Like we're all kind of like arms and tentacles coming from the Creator, and so like we all come from the same source. And so like whenever I'm communicating with you, I'm communicating with myself. When I'm interacting with another stranger or somebody at my job, I'm communicating with myself. So I always like to approach my forms of communication with respect, you know, and I always like to make sure that you're being mindful of what people are downloading from you. Now, that's something that I really, really take to heart because you don't want to leave somebody and you feel like they've had a very challenging or interesting experience, a negative experience with you, and they've developed a certain perspective of you, and that wasn't even your intent, right? So I think it's essential, and I think it's key for us to always be able to wrap our minds around the ability to see things from a different perspective, be able to always analyze those that we idolize, those that we see as mentors, those that we see as peers, to be able to hold them accountable at the same rate we hold ourselves accountable, and to always continue to push the conversation of creativity and independence in the things that we do. So Amazing conversation, gentlemen.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's toast it up.
Toast it up, man.
To is speech free? Is speech free? Cheers. Shout out to 712.
For my brothers never had an ear to hear them. These the bricks for our sisters, help us build it. If I could be a black fly on the wall, I can hear and see it all and have the mind of a god. Black, 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 black. Fly, 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 fly. Black, black, black.